Hello, Wastelanders. This is the face of a man who has to survive the apocalypse with only a 22 caliber pistol. After a 35-hour, 24-minute run, he looks how I feel.
I like it. It makes you look younger.
No, Nora, this run aged me at least 10 years. It all started out innocently enough. DegenerateDak released a new weapon pack of 3 22 caliber pistols in January of 2024 that I was going to review, and I thought, why not see if I can beat vanilla survival difficulty with only a 22? It looks fun when other creators do it. I may never do it again. It was a full-time job to make this video, but okay, more on that later. Let's meet the guns. They are 3 brand new 22 long-range pistols. There's a new pistol based on the Ruger Mark III and Fallout New Vegas 22, very handsome looking. There's a brand new 22 SMG based on an Intratec Tech 22. The brand new automatic 22 revolver that's a complete original and has some very cool custom animations. They all spawn at level 1 on Raiders, Triggermen, Minutemen, Railroad Agents, and they show up in shops, so I figured I could get my hands on one early enough to make this feasible. And there are vanilla and munitions versions of the mod, but I went with the munitions version because I wanted to use the 22 ammo, of course. More on that later. Here were the rules starting out. These have a low damage ceiling, so I knew these were kind of an early game gun, and it would be a real challenge to carry them all the way through a finished survival mode playthrough. But that was the goal. Survival mode only, you know the drill. Higher damage to and from enemies, reduced carry weight, hunger, thirst, diseased, reduced healing, no fast travel, and only sleep saves, no console commands, etc. So I'm not going to allow myself to use any mods that affect gameplay, just visual mods. My load order was a ghost town compared to usual. I can only use 22 caliber weapons. Yes, I do include bash with those weapons. I can use non-damaging alt-keyed weapons like vertibird grenades because, duh, no exploits, no glitches. But there is one caveat, and you're just going to have to accept it. I'm not going to use VATS. I'd rather use simple crits. So I left a simple crits mod installed, and you won't see any VATS getting used in this playthrough. I think it also goes without saying, but for you sticklers, I'll say it anyway. Performance mods like the unofficial Fallout 4 patch and Buffout 4 and various frameworks were left in place because they don't give me any advantages. They just make the game work. The DLCs are also all installed, and my Creation Club purchases refuse to stay turned off for some reason, but I won't be engaging with those anyway to speak of. Whew, glad we got that out of the way because sharing an experience this intimate and painful should always start with ground rules. And now that we have our man here looking like the scrawniest settler in the Commonwealth, I think we're ready to embrace the spirit of this challenge, getting by with less. The leveled lists have loaded the 22s into the game so we can get back to our middle-class suburban life where, apparently, none of our neighbors likes Nora enough to tell her that she is way, way out of our league. How do you explain that? I mean, maybe we're just lucky. Or maybe we're packing more than just a 22 where it counts, which is a different kind of lucky. And our mixed bag of good fortune continues as moments before the apocalypse, we fill out a brief and invasive survey that saves our lives.
Salesman. He comes for you every day.
Good morning. Vault-Tec calling.
All right, buddy. We all know what's coming. Let's just get this over with.
Yeah, I can't wait for the world to end.
Ha ha! That's the spirit. Now, let's see.
I think we all saw this name coming, but I have a hard time going evil, so it'll just be Lucky. Lucky Strikes is what I should have put. That's a missed opportunity in hindsight. Today we went 6 in strength because looks can be deceiving, and I think bashing might be a crucial element of the run, even though I saw no bladed barrels in the mod pick on Nexus. 6 in endurance because we still talk about that night in the park a year ago. 6 in charisma because I want to pass speech checks, and we need to give Nora the educated professional some credit for her taste in men. And 7 in luck because we'll need the Scrounger perk when we're so focused on one ammo type, and because no amount of charisma can fully explain the relationship that we're in. And that only leaves 1 in agility, intelligence, and perception, because we have not caught Nora creeping with Mr. Callahan, even though there is not as much cream in Baby Sean's coffee as you might expect. The Vault-Tec rep can't get out of here fast enough. Do you think he knows about Callahan?
On being prepared for the future.
Thanks again.
Hey, it's peace of mind.
Peace of mind is about the one thing we don't have right now, Nora. Maybe it's the stress of a newborn, but that booze on the hutch and your body language on this couch say you're pulling away. Codsworth says we should check on Sean, so we check and see if he's starting to look like us or one of the neighbors.
How are the 2 most important men in my life doing?
How should we know, Nora? But there's no time to confront you about that now. Because it's the end of the freaking world. Let me through, I'm an adult male, for God's sake.
Adult male.
Exactly, clear the way! Phew, we made it. Oh, right. You guys. Don't look at us like that, Nora. It was a stressful situation, okay?
Almost there. We're gonna be okay. I love you. Both of you.
We love you too.
But before we can make up and have another night like that one in the park a year ago, the worst thing imaginable happens.
Hold on!
Well, maybe not the worst thing. We didn't see Callahan on the elevator, so it's not all bad. But then, just as we settle in for eternity together, there he is, Callahan. Well, this is awkward. We might as well say something.
Excuse me. Guess we're some of the lucky ones, right? Whew.
Why are you looking at her when you say it? So, Nora, who's it going to be?
I think he's better. You go ahead.
Ouch. Well, that settles it. We have created exactly the kind of tragic, self-abusing character who would take on the factions of the post-apocalypse with a .22 pistol. Bravo.
Pod will decontaminate and depressurize you before we head deeper in the vault.
Lies! Just like the lies Nora told herself when she denied her love. Which is why it's so upsetting when she's brutally murdered, but let's be honest, that was more closure than Lucky here was ever going to get. Well, Lucky, you get to cling to your delusions, because you have to get out of the vault with no weapons. At this point, I made an executive decision to allow punching in the vault because, well, it's technically not a weapon and I can't be bothered. Hate me if you must, viewer, but you and I both know that this challenge isn't about the vault. So let's pick up our Apocalypse smartphone and get on with it. Well, viewers, no regrets or second guessing so far. We head for the surface and hope to live up to our name. It's obvious in a challenge like this that getting a 22 is our first priority. Then there's also all the challenges of a survival run unaided by convenience or mods. It's going to take some adjustment since I am seldom a survival player and even more seldom a vanilla player. But at least we can be a little more comfortable and a little more vanilla in this t-shirt and slacks we just found in this suitcase. This is exactly the look a guy like Lucky should be rocking. Then we tell our only friend, who happens to be a chatbot, that the love of Callahan's life was murdered and Sean was stolen. Codsworth moves past denial and takes out his anger on the neighborhood wildlife as though Nora was his wife. And then we have to talk him off a very low ledge before searching Sanctuary for a weapon we can use.
Come on, Codsworth. I need your help.
Codsworth isn't much help, but it turns out we don't need it because the first weapon we find is a .22 SMG, and the second weapon we find is an even better one. This luck thing is starting to pay off. In fact, in the first house we search, we find a machine pistol with an attachment that will carry us through our darkest moments in this entire campaign. As it turns out, we would have needed a very high gun perk to craft this barrel, and finding it at this stage was a major windfall, so yay Lucky! Life gave you a series of scars, a very unfortunate complexion, and early onset hair loss, but you were finally getting a win as you loot an abandoned trailer park in the deadly post-apocalypse. Everybody's moment's gotta come sometime. The cellar mattress affords us a save, thankfully, and then a book that someone bought for a 3-month-old teaches us about agility so we can sneak past our enemies who will all be firing bigger bullets. But these rad roaches have no bullets, so we bravely go in and bash them while wearing a knitwool cap we found that adds 1 luck to our stats and covers up our comb over, so it is now the official headgear of this playthrough. And our first non-stat perk is an easy one. We are taking Idiot Savant because we are dumber than a super mutant.
So stupid! So weak!
Sorry about that, I didn't mean to offend our super mutant viewers. And 22 variety number 2 comes to us from the second safe we opened in Sanctuary. I think it's safe to say this is going to be a typical early game find.
At least you're funny!
You know what? They can't all be winners. So let's take stock as we head out into the world. Lots of bottles for filling, knit cap and glasses, t-shirt and slacks, netting us boost to luck, perception, and charisma, respectively, and a stock of typical early game aid items, plus some rounds for our .22 machine pistol. I think we're ready. At a nearby abandoned Red Rocket gas station, we find the world's best dog as if he'd been abandoned. And since unconditional love is something Lucky hasn't had much of,
You wanna come with me, pal?
we pet-napped him as a follower. And so begins probably the healthiest relationship of Lucky's life. Soon that bond and our .22 machine pistol firing for 13 damage at 109 speed are put to the test against a mole rat infestation. The gun didn't do too bad, but Lucky's bashing technique was going to need some improvement. Poor combat reflexes versus a mole rat ambush net us the first death of the playthrough, but like Edge of Tomorrow, we get to die as many times as it takes to get better.
It only makes us stronger!
Exactly.
Hey, boy.
Round 2 showed improvement. To congratulate ourselves, we built a cot and took a nap, and then it was off to claim the free goodies by the water tower and put on some leather armor from the trunk up there. Embarrassingly, Lucky had to strip off all his other clothes to put this shin guard on because vanilla fallout. Since we don't want to show up at the Abernathy Farm naked, it's fortunate that we brought the blue vault suit along.
That's close enough, stranger.
The Abernathys are touchy about strangers, and in the first of many vendor disappointments, no 22 ammo was for sale from Connie. The Abernathys told Lucky about terrible raiders who'd come in guns blazing to steal crops and their daughters. Perhaps it was the guns blazing part that was the problem, because we steal their crops and hit on their daughter with no problems. And we also promised to punish the evil people at Olivia Station who did the same thing.
I got time to help out.
Great.
And while Lucky demonstrates the tedious reality of survival mode, please take a moment to like the video you've been watching and presumably enjoying so that YouTube knows to share it with more people. It really helps the channel grow, and I desperately need to validate the 35 hours of my life that I sank into this playthrough watching things like this. Let's look at the 22s at the workbench. Our workhorse 22 machine pistol has the best mods we can currently manage and a damage output similar to a 38 auto pipe gun, but faster responses, higher precision, and much cooler looks. The bash barrel is actually one of the final barrels available and requires the basher perk along with gun nuts, so we're fortunate that we found one because we are many level ups away from the special stat increases needed for those perks. Our other 22 is the semi-auto pistol with loads of style points, lightweight, and very fast, precise fire, but damage output per shot is negligibly higher than the full auto, so DPS is not its strong suit. So it has a lot of the deliverer's strengths, but nowhere near the damage output. Let's get going. We need power armor to live through encounters the first time, and so we head toward the suit standing outside the crashed vertibird between the robotics disposal yard and Station Olivia. Along the way, however, a well-placed Molotov cocktail to the face by a raider takes us out. Well, we learned our lesson about that side of the river, and assumed that the small raider shack nearer to Sanctuary could be cleared more easily on our way to the robotics yard. It's just one raider after all. And a dog. Oh, snap. Literally. Third time's a charm when we're much more conflict avoidant and we find this suitcase full of raider armor and some leather armor laying on the ground next to it. How great is that? We needed that pretty bad and we equip it immediately. With only 4 shots in our gun, stealth is crucial, and we painstakingly inch up to the chest containing a fusion core and then take it across the road to the T-45 partial suit, standing abandoned by the vertibird with its previous occupant still at its feet. We are in business now, folks. This playthrough has officially gained a little bit of traction. We're going to take this suit back across to the robotics disposal yard now that we have some modicum of safety and reprogram the prototype sentry bot down there to go after the mole rats in the yard and then send it after the raiders at Satellite Station Olivia. Hopefully this all works out. Part 1 is done. Now programmed to patrol Olivia. Head for the now unguarded Fat Man and Mini Nuke and follow to see what chaos the robot has caused. And Chaos was right. He ranged all over and overheated constantly, but he did help distract and dispatch the attack dogs, and with my last 4 shots, I finished off the final exterior raider, who thankfully dropped me 12 more shots, and then I took a nap on his still warm mattress. It was time to enter Concord, luckily finding 15 more bullets in a wall safe there before approaching the Museum of Freedom, where a man who knows of another settlement that could use our help had finally done most of his own work for a change. Here he makes the first of many impassioned pleas to help defend defenseless settlers. It's kind of his thing. Looting the raider corpses laying about only yields about 15 more shots, and we'll need all we can get for the you-know-what battle coming up, but we head inside. 66 bullets aren't enough for what's coming, so at least the gun is precise enough not to waste many of them, but the countdown has begun. Peekaboo whittles us down to about 52 bullets, so we cut our losses and move further in. Despite Lucky's almost non-existent perception, we can tell that the fusion core locked behind a gate might be handy later, so we grab it on our way up. We make more kills, but looting is fruitless, and we are still sitting at 50 rounds when we greet Preston and company for the first time. And when I say looting, I mean I checked everything that wasn't nailed down and a few things that were. So our timing may be impeccable.
Man, I don't know who you are, but your timing's impeccable.
But our ammo count could be better. As Preston and Sturgis lay out a beautiful plan to punish the raiders with a 500-round drum on the Vertibird minigun, we can only despair at the 50 rounds of 22 ammo we are allowed to use. But Lucky remains optimistic.
We're set.
Well, all right. Maybe our luck's finally turning around.
That's what this run is all about, PG. Luck. Lucky here couldn't beat dog meat in an IQ test, but we have blind optimism.
I am stupid, not blind.
I wasn't talking about you. Anyway, the old ghoul that Preston travels with tells us that Dogmeat wasn't lost. He actually slipped away from this group to find help and came back with us. It's kind of like fate. I think we're ready. After taking the best of both suits and checking to see if any ammo spontaneously appeared in our inventory, the fight starts pretty much as usual. We spend a couple of necessary rounds on raiders before the Deathclaw shows up and gets wise to our plan of letting Preston shoot it from the safety of the roof. Keeping Preston company on the balcony out of boredom leads to a moment of panic as I fear I've fed him to a Deathclaw, but he uses the magic of that old sorting hat of his on his head to Leviosa to safety. But we eventually admit that we'll have to play Deathclaw Thirst Trap and bait it to follow us to the hardware store, where it will have just enough hope of reaching us and tearing us up, like that night in the park a year ago. We do this very well, almost problematically well, because it wants a taste of us terrifyingly bad. And then, because standing is boring, we begin a unique type of bull slapping contest where he is the bull and also does most of the slapping. Predictably, this ends in victory! For him. But we know from Lucky's love life that he's a glutton for punishment, so we do all that again, and it ends in victory! For the Deathclaw. Approaching our third try with more caution, we engage in a game of hunter and prey that lasts nearly an entire in-game day. We are desperately outgunned and obsessively chasing a cunning killing machine to our almost certain doom far and wide while playing a cat-and-mouse game in which we are mouse mistaking itself as cat. It has been edited down here to a fragment of its true scale, but if you'd like to read the unabridged version, Herman Melville covered it all in a book called Moby Dick. No more ammo? I guess it's bull slapping time. Our skills have obviously improved, and seeing that it is clearly outmatched, the Deathclaw runs off and allows us to heal our early warning system, Dogmeat, before venturing out to loot raiders for only their tiniest bullets. It's called Aiming Straight, Preston, and oh my goodness, Dogmeat, save us! Good boy, we'll come back for you! And here is a moment that should forever reinforce in our minds how horrifically agile a Deathclaw is for a beast of its monstrous size and power. Be brave. Be brave. See, Dogmeat, good boy, we gotcha, buddy. Okay, we need bullets, so we're looting. Okay, we found 16 more, and that is probably the last bit of bullets we're going to scavenge off these raiders. I think I've checked every corpse, and oh no, there he is! But eventually the Deathclaw started playing coy, nursing its wounds and keeping a distance. Preston's gun was apparently giving it pause, so we had to lure it in, using the promise of our own spilled blood as a red cape for one final stand in the hardware store. We had never been so close, but we needed the Deathclaw to feel the same way about us. So in this bellicose ballroom, we began our dance with death, our waltz of war, our terminal tango, our salsa of slice, our bossa nova of battle, our fandango of fallout fatality. And just when Preston had apparently run out of ammo, and we had run out of dance puns, and we thought all was lost, we took the Deathclaw down with a lucky gun bash from our trusty 22.
That was a pretty amazing display. I'm just glad you're on our side.
Preston has never uttered truer words. Though it's hard to make out over the sound of accomplishment ringing in our ears, Preston goes on to invite us back to Sanctuary for a little celebration get-together he had planned. We say yes, not realizing he expected us to host it.
I'm glad you decided to come with us.
And while we're doing that for him, we find out he has another favor to ask.
Do you think you could go help out with the settlement?
And to avoid an awkward pause,
I'd be glad to help.
That's fantastic. Thanks for checking in on me. Of course. We look out for our own. Always.
we interrupt this wholesome moment to carry this entire settlement on our back and complete some chores for Sturgis, leveling us up to 6. Then, as a level up present to ourselves, we give Lucky a new wasteland tough look befitting his status as a Deathclaw killer. He's no lady killer yet, but we'll get him there. And as another level up present to ourselves, we take on Codsworth as our new companion.
If needed, I'd be honored to accompany you throughout the Commonwealth.
On our way out of Concord, we try out our new look to proposition a homeless lady named Trashcan.
Just looking for love, sweetheart.
She laughs in our face, but we love her anyway because she sells 22 ammo. Then, some other homeless people arrive to attack our only 22 caliber vendor, and as our Good Samaritan deed for the day, we help her defend her mooing shopping cart. And in a Boy Scout twofer for the ages, we help another old lady across the street with some chem dealers that were loitering at her, hopefully 22 caliber selling store.
You stop waving that gun in my face, or it's gonna involve me.
That's it. You're dead.
Codsworth disapproves of our failed speech check, but becomes our new hero, keeping Simone busy and saving us ammo with some sick blade work.
Hi.
I can't wait to see the crows feeding on that scumbag.
It turns out that in the wasteland, vengeful grandmas like 22 bullets the way regular grandmas like hard candy, and we score another vendor for our ammo needs. We spend some hard candy clearing out the Starlight Theater, but we level to 7 before heading along the tracks southwest and having this random encounter outside of Lexington with a very optimistic entrepreneur. Following the tracks to Jalbert Brothers, we find a child of Adam who died welcoming division. At Grey Garden, the robots are desperate to water crops that they can't eat and tell us to go fight super mutants and mirelurks at the submerged water treatment plant. Certain death is a hard pass, but making the crows look like synth spies is delightful. Following a distress call to Cambridge, at the police station we find some unlucky soldiers in a nasty fight with a horde of ghouls, and we jump in to the rescue, allowing our robot housekeeper to do most of the fighting. Because, Lord knows we're not sticking around to help with the cleanup after, and there's no reason to get his hopes up. Afterwards, Dance has the class, not to mention that we let our nanny do all the fighting, and we have the restraint, not to mention that we only had 6 bullets going into that fight, since we're all going to get sick of hearing that before the video is over.
Since the moment we arrived in the Commonwealth, we've been constantly under fire.
Pretty whiny coming from a guy with unlimited ammo wearing T60D, but since he doesn't know we only have 6 bullets, we try to make a little hard candy money, and suddenly everybody hates us.
Not opportunistic mercenaries.
Sir.
Q, the only member of the recon team with a brain, and we are invited to help retrieve a deep-range transmitter, kinky, from ArcJet Systems. 6 bullets should be enough, right? No way we are setting foot in ArcJet at level 7 without some power armor, so we retrace the relatively safe route we took from Sanctuary and spiff up the old T-45 for a
What do
run.
you say? You willing to lend the Brotherhood of Steel a hand?
Yes, because vertibirds are way better than running everywhere.
Outstanding.
Trudy was not restocked, but thankfully, Carla arrives in Sanctuary and has a few rounds for us. And also, repairs only require steel on our T-45, and we can even upgrade to B. So, throw some flame paint on from the robotics disposal yard, and we are ready to run all the way back to Cambridge and do this ArcJet thing. And now a quick reminder that this is survival, and most of this process was pretty tedious. So if you've watched this far without liking this video, have a heart.
Suffer!
Why do there always have to be trolls?
I am super mutant.
Anyway, Dance has been waiting behind a desk in Cambridge and is impatient to go like he's been holding it this whole time, so we grab our suit from the PD garage and... Wait, what, did you think we forgot it after all that running? And we head out after him toward ArcJet Systems. The trip provides a useful exposition opportunity, and we hear about the Brotherhood's interest in the Commonwealth and fight a few raiders. We loot everything along the way and get 17 rounds for our trouble, raising our total to 46 rounds as we arrive at ArcJet's door.
We do this clean and quiet. No heroics and by the book. Understood?
Outside we got a lecture, but inside Dance says the most enlightened words in his entire script.
It was corporations like this that put the last nail in the coffin for mankind. They exploited technology for their own gains, pocketing the cash and ignoring the damage they've done.
We don't really listen though, because we are too deep in our survival mode junk collecting frenzy all the way through this building to care. But there's about to be a reckoning. Synths are waiting for us behind a locked door. Will the pistol we found in Sanctuary still be enough during our first synth encounter? Fortunately, we have an unused perk point after hitting level 8, and we try to bolster our chances by putting it in Commando, bringing the pistol's damage from 13 to 15. So here goes nothing. So far so good, but the second room is a much harder test. We take considerable damage even through our power armor, and the last save was in Cambridge, so we hang back and let Dance soften the synth squad up, only coming in to use our precious ammo when we need to finish off a stubborn straggler that Dance just can't seem to hit. And now all our ammo is entirely gone in a dungeon that will only be dropping fusion cells, so the new plan is to hang back and bash whenever entirely unavoidable. Also, we'll be scrounging every container in this place in the hopes that we'll find some 22 randomly in a cabinet somewhere. But since that's not going to happen, let's all take a minute to appreciate how cool this ArcJet rocket engine is. Reaching the bottom of the test fire silo, we pass the pointless junk jet and fire up auxiliary power, alerting the synths above to our presence and plunging Dance into the fight of his life. Zero ammo means we do not take the hero option and instead push the big red button on the super rocket, which is much more satisfying. Rocket 69 did not exaggerate. Rockets are fun. That's what that song is about, right? Dance recovers like a god, and we confront the final synths in the upper control room, eventually overcoming them, gaining the transmitter, validating our journey back to Sanctuary for our power armor, and earning us an invitation to join the Brotherhood of Steel.
You could join the Brotherhood of Steel and make your mark on the world. So,
gee, should we join the faction with the best survival, fast travel, and the best armor protection?
Surely with their resources, we'll be able to find young Sean.
Oh right, Sean. And it's perk time now that we've hit level 9, so we grab Agility, because we really need to be sneakier. As our level rises and our enemies outpace the 22, which we are having a very hard time keeping ammo stocked for. Back at the PD, we take a minute to fix up our suit. Dance introduces us to the team, and then we head straight back out to clear College Square and cheer that jerk Reese up.
Got enough trouble stomping muties and ferals. I don't need something else to worry about.
But in truth, Raiders are one of the most likely groups to drop 22 ammo, and there are plenty of them. 9 of them, I think, laying around to loot up in College Square. Plus, I've got confidence that Codsworth and I can handle these ghouls melee. Our ammo stock begins to grow a bit from looting Raider corpses, and in a safe, we find the first 22 auto revolver with attachments that we have seen anywhere in the game. They look like good ones, too. And it appears that auto pistol's damage is a bit higher than the other varieties of 22, but I'll keep the bladed barrel going for now. Once we head down in the station, the looting continues, of course, but so did the ghouls, including a jump scare legendary that luckily we're ready for. And once again, Codsworth is proving to be an excellent companion in a melee fight against low-armored enemies with his tanky health pool and his quick attacks. We were right to hope for ammo here as it continues to trickle in, but eventually the last ghoul is dead and the last container is looted, so we go to put a smile on Reese's face with the good news.
That location better be cleared out.
Affirmative.
That's what I like to hear. Yeah, now report to Paladin Dance.
We left Reese practically glowing, and then Dance tells us that the previous recon team from 3 years ago had disappeared. But we are in no rush to take on a bunch of bullet sponge super mutants, so Dance better not just stand here behind this desk waiting for it to happen. Since we're done with the Brotherhood stuff for a bit, we decide to return to Sanctuary, because most of our scrap was left there, and the Cambridge PD isn't a great place to hang out for survival plays. And it occurs to us that the satellite station Olivia might have a decent drop rate for 22 ammo, so once more into the breach. The station actually turned out to be a wash for ammo, and AK-Ax minigun did cause us a little bit of worry, but in the end we walked out with the Abernathy's locket and a nice sneak magazine. While we're close by, we head over to Ten Pines Bluff on the Minuteman quest that will send us to Corvega, where we are hoping to find lots of 22 caliber ammo. If you were sensing that ammo drought is a running theme in this video, then you have been paying attention. Diamond City is calling, so before we go, we resolve the Abernathy quest and do a big gear up in Sanctuary. Returning the favor gets us to level 11, but we are still 2 levels away from the second tier of Gun Nut and Armorer, so we have to head back to Sanctuary and see how much we can do with the loot we've been picking up from all over the Commonwealth. First up on the weapons bench, we steal the best attachments we have found for the 22 auto pistol, and in the end we gain a better clip and a nice reflex sight. The auto revolver we found has very high level attachments, and even with only a hardened receiver, it still outdamages our other pistols. And I find the 22 semi-auto to be the best looking of the 3, so it saddens me that with no bladed barrels and without the highest damage or DPS, we aren't likely to favor it on this challenge. When it comes to armor, we are going to use a dual disarm piece since we end up in melee mode so often, and we are switching out our leather for a sharp metal chest piece that will be a helpful boost in defense. We then hit the cooking station for rations and take a nap after reminding Preston not to watch us sleep, which he ignores. At first, the road to Diamond City is nothing we can't handle or avoid, but that changes when some riffraff on the USS Riptide hands us our ass.
Next time, fight better!
Our next try sees us sneak past the Riptide and charge in heroically to help Diamond City security and some caravan guards fight off a group of super mutants who chew up bullets like they really want us to hate life. Then we reach the gates of the city to find them blocked by a conversation so long that we do start to hate life. But by letting ourselves get roped into a grift with our new friend Piper, we enter the city and find it rife with paranoia about the Institute. We get no helpful information on finding Sean until a child named Nat tells us what none of the adults could, and we go looking for a detective named Nick Valentine. But our lost infant can wait because we need ammo, and we're gratified to learn that Diamond City Surplus does carry 22 caliber. Entering the detective agency, we learn that he is missing and was last headed to an old vault full of Dick Tracy-style baddies named Triggermen working under one Skinny Malone. Codsworth has been a great help, but Lucky here hasn't been lucky in about 200 years, so we head over to Public Occurrences to butter up Piper with an interview. Jumping out of our skin when she appears like a vampire behind us doesn't start things out so smooth, but we play the sympathy card and she offers to accompany us, so it looks like Lucky is making some headway.
Tell you what, I'll come with you. Watch your back while you get used to the world above ground.
Lucky is way ahead of her and grabs a bottle of Piper's whiskey to celebrate the new partnership.
Help yourself.
And the good fortune continues the next day, right outside Diamond City, when Piper and Lucky run into a pack of some fancy breed of hairless dog led by a legendary that drops the single most significant legendary of the challenge, a Poisoner's 22 auto pistol. We pull this gun from the mongrel's innards like pulling the sword from the stone because this is our Excalibur. Back in DC, we buy more rounds from Myrna, but Arturo, the weapons dealer who says,
Something for everyone.
doesn't have anything for us, and the same goes for all dedicated weapons dealers. Cricket, right outside the gate, also no 22 ammo. I couldn't buy it from anything but general stores. So, on our way to Park Street Station with a confidence crippling 87 remaining rounds of ammo, we come across the railroad's super secret Freedom Trail that is on public display throughout Boston. Our hope, as we enter the territory of the Triggermen, is to find more ammo as we go, because 22 weapons should be added to the Triggermen's leveled lists. We take a few risks with melee because we're in power armor, but the fighting itself proceeds pretty smoothly because Triggermen are glass cannons with bad aim, and we can hang back and snipe at them with a pretty precise little pistol. The Triggermen drop just enough 22 ammo outside the vault to make this viable, and it becomes apparent that the legendary poison effect can save some ammo if we wait just a few seconds between shots for the poison to bring their health down. Patience is hard though. Inside the vault is more of the same, but the Triggermen there carry bats and Tommy guns more often and drop fewer 22 rounds, so it starts to get a little lean.
So I got a question. Why the hell would anyone build a vault out of a subway station? This place is like the opposite of airtight. Because they weren't planning to use it, you moron.
And if I can get on my soapbox for a second, the Triggermen are one of the most distinct and stylish groups of Raider-type enemies in the game, and I wish Bethesda had done more with them than just hinted a backstory between Nick and Skinny. Moving on. Along the way, we leveled to 13 and we grabbed Gun Nut 2 and Armorer 2, so that should be fun at the Workbench later. Confronting Dino seemed like a melee-free moment to test the auto-revolver, and it is a pretty sexy little side piece that has a use case as the highest damage marriage of single-shot power and rate of fire, but with no bladed barrel, it's probably still not our choice for the run. Eventually, we reach Nick to find that Ellie and everyone else in a town gripped by synth obsession declined to mention that Nick Valentine is Diamond City's own synth in residence. His very existence there calls into question how the town can have such a universally hostile position on synths when they know and trust one in their midst. Maybe it's just because he isn't hiding it? There doesn't seem to be an answer.
Somehow nice and simple never makes it onto the menu in my world.
Picking up the speech bobblehead, we move out, and the noir charm of this area continues.
How do you want to play this? His only job is to check on the prison. Why does that take so fucking long, huh? Hey, Dino, quit razzing that detective and get down here.
We spend our last 2 bullets starting a fight that we let Nick and Piper carry. Kudos to Piper for grabbing a Thompson somewhere along the way. And until some more 22 shells are found, fighting's going to be mano-a-mano.
You're nothing.
I love the Triggerman swagger. The Ghoul Tough guys fit perfectly with the vibe.
Perfect.
Piper, Nick, and Lucky set him up and knock him down as we make our way through the vault's gangster garrison. Soon we hear, in Nick's words, big fat footsteps on the other side of the door and are facing the feared mob boss himself.
What are you doing? You come into my house, shoot up my guys? You have any idea how much this is gonna set me back? Should have left it alone, Nicky. This ain't the old neighborhood.
We never do learn what happened between Skinny and Nick in the old neighborhood, but we see that Skinny is packing a .22 semi-auto instead of a Tommy gun.
I told you we should have just killed him! But then you had to get all sentimental. All that stupid crap about the old times.
Maybe Skinny and I are both sentimentalists, because I know that Prohibition-era mobsters are a little out of sync with the late 50s American nostalgia that the game is based on, and way out of sync with the post-apocalypse it's set in, but I still appreciate their presence here. So, like Skinny, we try to avoid a murder between old friends, but fail a speech check with the unstable Darla, and end up in a bloodbath anyway.
Don't you try to confuse me! Get him, Skinny!
Maybe we were a little cocky when we saw that Skinny's men were packing the same .22s as us, because we lose track of our health and go down in a hail of gunfire. Fortunately, we slept in a bunk and get another crack at the situation.
I told you we should have just killed him! But then you had to get all sentimental. All that stupid crap about the old times.
Darla is starting to sound right as we repeat the scene again and the nostalgia begins to wear thin, but we try to avoid a fight anyway.
What's this guy doing here, huh? Valentine must have brought him here to rub us all out.
Darla, listen to me. You have a home to go back to. You don't want to throw your life away with these thugs.
Don't you try to confuse
Lucky
me!
just has no mojo with the ladies and gets thrown into another battle with the tough-talking Triggerman. They say the same thing about Karma as they do about Darla, and she goes down first, which Piper likes, so she's a bit of a Karma too. And soon it's just Skinny left to deal with. So, with only 11 bullets left in the clip, we make it personal. And now we are headed back to Diamond City, where we can begin the reunions quest and get Kellogg to confess about stealing Callahan's baby. And speaking of confessions, I'm exhausted. I don't know how Willow does these nonstop. A week of my life is already gone to this, and I have a lot to learn about streamlining the process, but I want the chance to get better at it. So if you've enjoyed my pain, please give the video a like and subscribe so you don't miss part 2 in what I have decided is going to be a 2-part video. I need a break, so later Raiders, I will see you in the next one.
Thanks for getting me out. How did you know where to find me anyway? Not many people knew where I went.
Your secretary, Ellie, she sent me.
She did? I should give her a raise. Now, you mentioned something about a missing person. No trace of where they've gone. I want you to...
Okay, human! Make the machine stop recording now!